All right, and then all you have to do is close that last function. We're done writing it.
Okay.
Sweet. And now whenever they watch the video, you're going to be able to see the passwords that they enter. You're going to be able to see basically everything in Windows that they have saved.
Okay.
And if it's a Linux machine, you're going to get root to that machine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. My name's Indigo.
And I'm Mr. Robot.
And today we're going to be talking about Starfinder computer skills for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think they're explained enough, and because I'm going to be playing a character that's going to be using all computer skills, and so I made Krug do all the research so I knew how to play my character.
And I love computers, and he knew he could get away with doing that, even though it's just an RPG. A little bit of background on Indigo's character, whether he wants to talk about it or not. Level 1, he has a plus 13 in computers. Just keep that in mind. First, I think we should talk about kind of the parts of a computer. What goes into a computer and what do those things mean? And then we'll talk about getting access to a computer.
So like
the
hard
CPU
drive.
and a hard drive.
Yeah.
So every computer has a tier. The tiers are between 1 and 10. They represent kind of the complexity of the machine.
Okay.
They're going to decide things like how much does a computer cost, and like what are the DCs associated with the computer. There's a table on the computer's like section of the book that shows you like all that information. It's on the screen. You can look at it. It's really attractive. And then it's going to go away around now. And then we can continue talking about stuff. So tier 1 computer, just for an example, is like one of those Nest devices, like just something that isn't really designed for security.
Sure.
Or like, an iPad at a store that has like a map on it.
Oh, okay.
Like just something that's designed to be interacted with.
Sure.
And like if they break into it, like so what?
There's nothing pertinent or like
It's
dangerous.
Not, it doesn't have secrets on it.
Or your credit card number.
Or a credit card number. Level 10 computers, like this controls the engine of a starship.
Okay.
Like this is something critical that like lives are on the line if it fails or gets penetrated. And look, I'm gonna be using the word penetrated because it's the correct term. Don't be immature about it, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. In the packed worlds, most computers support a lot of different input methods.
Okay.
And I think that's important to know for roleplay. You can have like a keyboard, which is pretty standard. You can have like touch screens. You could have voice input and speaker output so the computer can respond to you. Gesture controls like on a screen or like above a screen or near a screen. Before you make any assumptions, even though they're all very common, just ask, like,
Sure.
Can I tell what inputs this computer has? And the GM will let you know.
Well, I mean, it's not the most important thing for an engineer. They already have a device that says you have every form of input.
And you can wirelessly send commands to things.
Because the engineer is literally like, you do computers.
There's two kind of like baseline levels of computer access.
Okay.
There's secured and insecure.
Okay.
So an insecure system is one that's meant to be interacted with by anyone.
Oh, see, and I thought it was one that wasn't, didn't like the way it looked.
I don't know if my laugh sounds fake there or not, but like I super didn't see that coming. This is like an 8 on his head joke. I like it. There's a check that you need to make to access an unsecured system, but it's not like, oh, I need to know how to like hack into the mainframe. Brr, brr, brr. It's literally like, are you stupid? It's a DC 10, just flat DC 10 check, and you just need to succeed that. In my head, this is akin to like, do you know which way the keyboard goes? Are you aware that the mouse controls the cursor on the screen?
Sure. A DC 10, even if you have 0 intelligence, or I'm sorry, a 10 in your intelligence, so you get a 0.
0 modifier,
Yeah, you've put no skills into computers, it's still a 50-50 chance
Exactly.
of success.
And your character doesn't have to roll
No.
to make that check
No.
successfully at level 1. So if you are like a computer's character, right? If that's your jam, and you're like, I shouldn't have to roll, like this is something that my character, you don't. You don't. You almost certainly don't have to actually roll in order to succeed that check.
Cool, I'm gonna take a 1 and succeed.
Take a 1? That's not an option. There actually is an option to take a 10 and to take a 20.
But it takes time.
It takes time, and if there are countermeasures and you take a 10 or a 20, they activate all of them automatically. So keep that in mind. Do not use that most of the time. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Then there's a secure system, which is not that, right?
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
like somebody's personal computer, or like, I'd say most computers.
Sure.
Just in general. There are very rarely computers that are entirely insecure. And we'll talk about how to get like partially secure systems moving forward. Now, how are computers secured? The book says a lot of them have two-factor authentication. You need two unique forms of proving that you have access in order to access the computer.
Okay.
This isn't necessarily important mechanically when you're hacking the computer, but it is important if you're trying to discover access to a computer.
Okay.
So if you want to discover a password, you might also need a second thing like a palm print.
Sure.
Or a security like physical key, like a USB drive or like an actual key that turns a lock. You might also need another computer to grant you access to the computer you're trying to get into. There's a lot of different authentication mechanisms that the game calls out as things that are viable. It also mentions that generally people use secure passwords. I think that's more of a role play thing than it is anything else. I don't think that should play any mechanical significance. If you don't take advantage of the meme password 1234 in your Starfinder game, what are you doing with your
Well,
life?
I seriously, when you were saying that, I thought you were gonna say, I think this is more of a fantasy than reality.
It's true. I don't think whatever year this is relative to where we are now in the timeline, that's realistic. I don't care how long it's been. Everyone will always use football, password 1234, and the word
It's gonna be fun bleeping that out. Wait, what password is that? Is that their password? I'm gonna try that.
Easter egg. Let's change our password to password 1234 on our YouTube account.
No.
No? Okay. There are three kinds of components that you can kind of layer on top of the basics
Okay.
in order to change the way the computer works.
Okay.
We'll talk about those three now. The first is a module. Modules help define the capabilities of a computer. A module is like a data storage unit or something. You can have as many modules as you want inside of a computer. There's no limit. So if you need to store like oodles and oodles of data, you can just spam data storage modules and store as much data as you want. They obviously have a price, but if the modules that you're inserting give a bonus of any kind, they don't stack. That's a mechanical bonus, not like a feature, right? So multiple data modules will stack,
Okay.
but anything that gives +1 to X or gives a -1 penalty to X, those things will not stack.
Okay.
Now upgrades are similar to modules, but they're more utilitarian in nature.
Okay.
They don't change the way that the computer processes data. They don't change the like inherent capabilities of the computer. They're more quality of life capabilities than anything else.
Okay.
So you can do things like miniaturize the computer, give it an artificial personality,
Okay.
so that you can interact with it in a more natural way. Their bonuses also don't stack.
When you have two-step authentication or like, needs a paw print or retina scan or
Yeah,
whatever, and you as a player need to get access to this but may not have the opportunity to be able to get that. Let's say they incinerated that person and now it's ash. Is there like ways to go like is there a back door? Is there like ways to get root access?
Yeah, hacking a computer in this game can be anything. It doesn't specifically call out you type in commands. It could.
Stop saying computer.
Oh. Our Alexa is named the word that we've been using to describe the thing that we're talking about. And so it apparently heard me for the first time just now. Hacking a computer could be anything, right? It could be rewiring something,
Sure.
right? It doesn't prevent you from progressing. The next group of things
Okay.
does.
Okay.
The third category is countermeasures. Countermeasures are things that react to inappropriate access. Lock out the computer after X number of sign-in attempts, which is actually a thing. It's called the lockout countermeasure. They'll do things like wipe all of the data after X number of attempts. There's there's a handful of countermeasures that exist, and we're going to talk about getting past them
Okay.
in the next section, where we talk about accessing secured systems. The first thing we're going to talk about is detecting a fake shell. A shell is just a input prompt for commands. It's like a command line sort of thing. When you are in a fake shell, the computer is accepting commands from you. It's saying, oh, you want to like move this file from this location to this location? Sure, that was successful. It didn't actually do anything. The fake shell is there to make the hacking party think that they're progressing, when in reality, they're in a fake environment where they're actually making no progress into the real environment. The DC to detect that you are in a fake shell is going to be the same DC as it is to hack the computer, +5. If you fail that check, you don't realize, and you're just like, okay, you have access to the shell. Go ahead and like, what do you want to do? Every minute you get to make another check automatically, and every time you make a new check to detect the same fake shell, you get a +2. As you explore, like you get like hints. Like, oh, that command happened way fast. I have to move a ton of data, and it didn't do that.
Yeah, the only difference is the time in which you've wasted.
Exactly.
Now you have to start all over
Yeah.
once you've realized that you're in a fake shell.
As a GM, I would wait for your player to need to do something associated with hacking the computer for them to be like, oh, I'm going to hack XYZ, and then roll, give you the result, and compare it to the DC of the fake shell instead of what they're trying to do. Asking them to roll to detect a fake shell is dumb. If they want to do it before that, I think let them. But if they forget that a fake shell is a thing, I don't think you prompt them, oh, there's a fake shell that you have to roll to detect. That doesn't make any sense. Take whatever roll they give you, but you're comparing it to the DC of the fake shell.
Sure, that makes sense. Great, now I know.
That I'm not going to give you any hints. Super okay with you knowing that. Okay, now we're getting into proper hacking.
Okay.
The first thing we're going to talk about is
Elite Hacksaws!
The first thing we're going to talk about is elite hacksaws. There are two ways to access a secured system.
Okay.
There's the easier way that gives you less access, which is called hacking a computer.
Okay.
And there is the very difficult way that basically gives you ownership of the computer.
Okay.
First, we're going to talk about hacking a system.
Okay.
This allows you to get into the non-firewalled off portion of the computer. This doesn't get you past firewalls automatically. You can add firewalls as one of the components we talked about earlier to a computer to protect specific modules.
Okay.
One firewall can protect a module, right? But you can't put two firewalls in front of the same module, but you can put two separate firewalls for two separate modules. In terms of a character like yours is trying to get into a computer, is that you hack into the computer, find that you still, even though you succeeded, you still don't have access to the thing you need because it's behind a firewall. And so you're like, I want to access this module.
And then
You encountered a firewall, make a computer check to get past the firewall. That's a second attempt at hacking. It's a second opportunity that the computer has to activate countermeasures against you. It is basically the thing that makes it take longer for you to hack into a computer successfully.
if you have two different modules, right, and it has half the information on one module and the other half of the information on the second module, so that they're having to make multiple.
You actually super can.
Okay.
Because that's increasing the overall cost of the computer to have two separate modules. There is an opportunity cost, which is money. Like you can put one letter of a schematic in every module, but then you're gonna have a trillion credit computer.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could, but you're also broke immediately.
Yeah.
When you gain root access to a system, you are the owner of the system now. You have the power. It's basically like you bought it yourself. You can give anybody else access, any kind of access that you want. You can say, all of the firewalls don't work against this password that I've given you, except for this one. This one does. You can say all of the original users of this system, I revoke all their access. I am the root user. Nobody is above me. You can do anything. You can turn off the whole system. You can just wipe the whole thing. Now think of that. Think of role-playing that on a computer system that controls a starship's engines.
Yeah.
What can you not do to that starship?
You just
I'm going to set the engines to full throttle. I'm going to set a course for that sun. I'm going to get back in my little escape pod and leave.
And I'm gonna disable
all the other escape pods. Cool. You just single-handedly destroyed an entire starship filled with people. I mean, obviously they have the ability to hack it again. The root access DC is the same DC that you would use to hack a system.
Okay.
Plus 20.
Okay. So I actually have to roll on this one.
Yeah, you actually have to roll on this one. That's difficult still, right? For unless
unless there's two people on one keyboard.
It's moving too fast.
Oh, this is not good.
True, that makes hacking fast. Gaining root access is a slow process though. It takes one full action per tier of computer. Now, that sounds like a long time. For every 5 that you roll above the DC, you have that amount of time. So if you're on a tier 4 computer, right, you're trying to gain root access to it, and the first check you make, your first full round action, is 5 above the DC, now you only need to make one more check. You've halved the remaining time by half.
Sure.
So you only need to make one more check because you've succeeded one. The next one is the second check.
Okay.
That's a catastrophically powerful thing in some situations, right? Some situations it's not. Some situations it gives you the exact same thing that you need that you would have been able to get with hacking a computer. It's just fancier looking. But in some situations, gaining root access is crippling. What I wrote in the notes is this is the computer skill equivalent of casting the wish spell. You do anything you want, basically.
I mean, there are no magic out there. It's just technology.
Indigo's character doesn't believe in magic, even though magic in the world is an objective fact. People are gonna think you're either a genius or incredibly stupid.
I'm just saying. I think the biggest issue when using computers in Starfinder as a GM, you're basically like, cool, do you hack the computer? Great, you succeed, or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, you don't take account all of the other aspects that could be a part of it. It can be like an arduous skill roll 15.
Roll. Yeah.
Cool, and it was a shell the whole time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of GMs are basically like, cool, roll it, good, you get it. Oh, no, you know what I mean? But I think it can actually be a very exciting aspect because
Absolutely.
there are a lot of things, especially if I want to hack into the security system. Great. What do you have access to now? I want to get access to the cameras. Great, there's a firewall in front of the cameras.
Yeah, or maybe some of the cameras are exposed to any user of the system, and some of them are protected for more privileged users.
Yeah.
And so you have to get past those firewalls.
Great. Now that I have the security system, or now I have the security cameras, I now want to turn around and look at the defenses in which they have, especially if you have someone kind of movie-esque at a computer, dealing with that while your players are going, the rest of the players, I should say, are going through different areas, and you're just like, oh, hold on, before you go into the...
Yeah, that kind of this person, the person hacking the computer, is separate from the party, but also making it so they're not screwed. If the GM does it correctly and gives the person with access to the doors of the starship the ability to close a door, they spawn some characters on the other side of that door that the computer guy sees running towards the party, and they're just like, I'm gonna hack that door. Is there a firewall? Cool, I'm gonna get rid of the firewall. I'm gonna hack that door and close it and lock it. The party walks down the hallway, and they look and they see guns being raised, and then the door shuts. And then over the comm they hear, got you, fam. Just those moments are so cool. It has the potential to be fun.
It's just science we don't understand. All right, everyone, I want you to give us your most elite hacksaws down in the comment section.
Wait, can I do one?
Yeah.
Only post comments in elite speak. Please.
Oh.
Yes, there's a generator. We'll leave a link to elite speak generator in the comments.
Or if you're just an elite hacksaw,
if you
and
don't,
you can do it manually.
If you don't post elite comment, I will delete your comment, and I will also report your account to YouTube for being a jerk.
None of that's gonna happen.
True.
While you guys are down there, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to get notifications for all of our future content, and then head over to Twitter and talk to me there. You can talk to me on Twitter at IndigoQT.
And you can talk to me on Twitter at QueueQT. You can also talk to both of us at all these social media things down here, down by our crotches. We'll see you next time. Bye.